building.
We're in an area we don't usually occupy.
This is the new storeroom. We're reorganizing again.
It's, yeah.
And what can I say? We're reorganizing
We're
again.
reorganizing again.
So this is the bishop's storehouse.
I thought it was a tough shed.
It is a tough shed.
That's tough.
But we're moving all the small bits and pieces out here because it was taking up too much valuable space. We need more, anyway.
We need more room.
We need more room, so we're organizing. Mm-hmm. In so doing, we're finding fun stuff to show you.
Yes.
This is one of my favorite goofy things.
Oh, wow. Where'd you find that?
I found it in a hobby shop many years ago. But in the early days of brass engines, now mind you, when this guy came out, I was 9 years old.
Oh, my.
And about the only place you'd see these was at Douglas Models downtown.
Oh.
And I just staring in disbelief. It's like, seriously, some of these things are over $100.
Back then.
Back then. This one was 80 in 1960. So adjusted for inflation, $1,000, $1,200, somewhere right
Somewhere,
in that. Yeah.
wow.
But that was the nature of brass engines. It still kind of is.
Yeah.
But back then, it was a whole different kind of industry. Mm-hmm. And what we found, and we'd love to do a show on, we're trying to talk the guy that has it into letting us do a show on it. Because everything we do is just our own stuff. Mm-hmm. But every once in a while, you find something that somebody else has. And he has a Tenshodo Shea, which, as it turns out, is the very first mass-produced brass engine ever. Brass engines have been around for a long time. People have been building brass engines.
Oh, my.
But somewhere right after World War II, in Japan, they were looking for any way to make a buck, or a million yen, depending. And putting together brass engines seemed to be a thing because the United States was awash in money. Japan needed that money. They had many hands of well-skilled people. And so they started producing brass engines to sell in the hobby shops.
Wow.
That were all just hand-assembled and handmade one at a time. So the runs had to be really small, a few hundred units, and then they would be, the parts for 10 locomotives would be given to someone and another 10 over here and another 10 over here. And all these different people would assemble them in their homes, apartments, whatever, and then bring them back and get paid some, $10 for per engine for whatever they could assemble. But they needed the money, so they really. Anyway, this was a company called Akane, and 100% Japanese. I don't know how the import worked back then. This is before there were the big importing companies, United and Balboa and so on, when companies like Tenshodo, and in this case Akane, were making their own engines and somehow getting them into the United States. Don't know exactly how that whole importation worked. This is an impossibly basic engine when you get right down to it.
Oh my goodness.
That was the nature. And when you consider $80 for something this basic,
really,
but it gave you an opportunity to buy a locomotive that you otherwise wouldn't find mass-produced by Rivarossi or some company like that. Notice that there is no backhead because there is no back to the boiler. There's just a magnet back there where the motor, the open frame motor, is just back there.
Oh, wow.
Sort of sad and sort of pathetic in a way, but the level of detail for that era
it's amazing.
was considered just amazing, and these could actually scoot down the track with reasonable ease.
Wow.
By today's standards, of course, it's junk. Well, I bought this thing for very little money on an auction or something. I can't even remember. And I thought, it's a neat enough little engine. I'm going to remotor it and electronics and stuff. And then I thought better of it. It's like, no, it's a product of a time and a place and an era.
Wow.
Doesn't matter to me that it can barely get itself down a track anymore.
Right.
But and then I think of the history of this. the little cups of parts were handed off to all these different people,
And they would work on them.
and they would work on them in their homes, and then it all came back to Akane and somehow ended up at Douglas Models or wherever for $80.
That's just crazy. Wow.
And so of the $80, 40% of that went to the hobby shop, leaving probably somewhere around $35 to $40 that went to Akane by the time all the importation and everything was done. And they needed to be able to hand assemble all of these and pay these people who were working out of their houses to build these little things. But it launched an industry
Oh, wow.
that not a really profitable industry for the people doing it, I don't think. But some of these people, these companies got really big, and brass engines became a thing, and it's still a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And still very small runs. The detail, of course, has
It's
gotten
amazing.
a lot better
Right,
than it was
yeah.
here.
But still, that one
But
is
still,
And the tender.
pretty neat.
That's neat.
Pretty
I just
cool.
like that. The
And the
rivets,
idea was
everything.
that you could get this and then paint it, and paint it for your own. But this way, if there was some very specific engine that nobody wanted to mass produce, it could be done in these really small runs like this, and that way you could actually get them. So
Awesome.
very interesting artifact of a bygone era.
No kidding.
Well, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. We love it when people subscribe
Yes.
to the channel. And there's a subscribe button coming on. Are you ready for it? Zoink! Blue button right there says subscribe. We'll take you to the channel and make you a subscriber. We're not sure how you found this movie on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring. And we will see you here on Sunday with the regular show. See you then.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.